Dr. Michael Gerson has worked with a diverse range of soldier, athlete, and clinical populations in the field of performance, sport, military, health, and clinical psychology. He is a core faculty member at John Fitzgerald Kennedy University in California, where he teaches sport performance psychology and mindfulness courses. In addition, Dr. Gerson is the Director of Mental Skills at Mission 60, a tribe of performance experts that merge Special Operations Forces veterans with behavioural science practitioners and researchers, blending the work of the practitioner with the academic. With this wide and varied background, Michael Gerson adds his perspectives to support understanding of the mental toughness concept and its application to all walks of life.
Welcome, Michael, to the Talking Toughness podcast. We're delighted to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I'm excited and looking forward to rapping about all things mental toughness, especially from some leading experts like the both of you.
Wow.
There you go. I knew there was a reason we invited him on.
Yeah. Well, I think you've given us a good place to start. So I know you've got a big interest in mental toughness. Where did your interest in mental toughness develop, and what took you to the 4Cs model?
Yeah, for this question, I got to go way back. Just growing up, super active kid, and besides playing multiple sports, I just, bebopped around the neighborhood, playing everything, every kind of, team sport, individual sport. I don't care if it was, thumb wrestling, Rochambeau, staring contests. I was just competitive. And my father, he was like really my first sports psych, professor, teacher. He really baptized me in the tangibles of sport. He was a coach, basketball, baseball, well-known throughout the city. Surrogate father for a lot of people, a lot of my friends in town. We always had somebody living with us. He had a 40-1 record, from 4th grade to 8th grade. And he reminded me a lot like the Hoosiers coach. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but just like that. And so he was always talking about leadership and mental toughness and team building and dynamics and confidence and everything that I talk about today, just a lot of years before I got into the business. And then from there, I just got lucky. And I had a lot of coaches that had a penchant for the toughness game. And then in college, I actually had my head coach had a master's degree in sports psychology. And so we practiced it, lived it every single day. And that really started me on this path towards sports psychology, performance psychology, human excellence, mental toughness, whatever you want to call it. In the early 2000s, when I started my education, there were some definitions out there, and there were a lot of different definitions. Mental toughness was kind of picking up steam. And then some researchers got involved. I think Jones was one of them. I'm trying to peel back some, way back in time there. There was a couple other ones. I can't remember the names, but they started developing the factors. Like what is mental toughness, first of all? Why is it important? How do you develop and create it? And then what are the factors and components that make it up? And I think some at that time was like confidence, concentration, ability to bounce back. Someone said resilience. A lot of them said kind of this resistance to, outside forces. So being able to deal with adversity, to focus amidst distractions and things like that. And then from there, I had a military career in professional baseball, found myself in academia. And one of our program learning outcomes is evidence-based practice. So every year we review the PLOs for my institution that I work at John F. Kennedy School of Sports Psychology at National University. And I wanted to do a better job. Like, what is mental toughness? Like, who are the leading researchers nowadays? What's fresh? What's coming out? Is there more science and research behind it? Because it was kind of fledgling in a way when I first started. And lo and behold, landed on the 4C model, and there was just a lot to like about the model.
Great, yeah. And I I'm interested. Well, I'm interested in a lot of things, Michael, but I'll certainly drill you on them, especially any related to sport. But this kind of eclectic mix of working in sort of performance settings, in military, health-based settings, and things like that. What kind of commonalities and I suppose what kind of differences do you see when you're applying mental toughness across those?
Yeah, to be honest, not much for me. To me, performance is performance is performance. Behavior is what you do. Performance is, for me, like how well you do it. There is a rating, subjective rating to it, like how well am I doing in this situation. So you could say performance. You can have performance for being a father. Performance for anything you do at work, for the relationships you're in. If you are trying to make improvements and make strides, and I think that has some performance element to it. So in the military, they're athletes. They're just tactical athletes. They are trying to figure out how to perform more consistently in more places, in more environments, probably harsher environments, real rugged environments, and then on demand. So that original definition from Jim Lear, the ability to consistently perform at the upper range of your talent skill, regardless of the circumstance. And I always add on demand. It doesn't matter if you're military, doesn't matter if you're an athlete. For me, like mental skills are just coping skills dressed in athletic clothing. So it's the same thing. You can swing it over to life. You can swing it over to the performance realm.
Yeah. Certainly, I don't think you'll find any arguments here. We often get asked this kind of question around, contextualized stuff, and generally, I think that tends to be what we find. There isn't huge difference there. Now, as Doug knows, if we have anyone on here with some sporting experience, I kind of derail everything and talk about sport for a long time. But I'll try not to. But you worked with the Seattle Mariners, I understand. So there's a good connection there to my football team, Grimsby Town. I nicknamed the Mariners. So we do have some sort of connection there. What was your work primarily there?
Yeah, so I was the mental skills director from 2014 to 2017, and the work there was basically working with the Major League Baseball team, the Seattle Mariners, on an individual level. Sometimes I would work with small groups, but for the most part, just one-on-one sessions. And then, like I said, once in a while, some presentations, some workshops, things of that nature, especially during spring training. But the work and the scope changed every single year because there was always a new leadership group in and an old leadership out. So the first year, I dropped in halfway through the season and just kind of parachuted in. And there I just try to create some formidable relationships, working alliance, all that good counseling, type of, working relationship type of things. And then I also created a leadership lab where I worked with the core captains. We did like 15 sessions, did some education, some training, individualized it, contextualized it, did some homework, did some experiments, and really, I created the space and the context for them to create what they wanted to. And I basically facilitated it. Did that with Andy Reese, who I think you've had on your show before. And then the next year, I worked with the big league team. And then in Major League Baseball, there are various levels. So you can have, there's Latin ball team, there's short season A, rookie ball, single A, high A, double A, triple A. And so I had a nice little rhythm going where if the major league team left, then I'd zoom down 30 minutes to Tacoma and work with the triple A team. If both of those teams were gone and on the road, then I'd zip up north about 45 minutes to Everett and work with the short season Aqua Sox. So I traveled the circuit a little bit more, was able to hire somebody to work with the minor leaguers that on the other side of the country. And in the third year, it changed again. So what I tried to do, though, was to create to stand up a program, to create some consistency. That was really hard and quite a challenge when people had different ideas of, what they wanted you to do. So you can find that a lot in the sporting world, as coaches have a short lifespan.
Yeah, sport kind of provides, I suppose, sort of organizations on fast forward in that sense. The kind of the stresses, the challenges, the uncertainty, the turnover, the change in culture is all kind of fairly contrived and fairly quick, and I suppose a test of your own mental toughness in that sense, because not much stands still in sport. If it stands still, it gets the boot.
And I was trying to do a really good job of building it into the culture, the fabric. So I created a mind gym or a kinesthetic lab where I had some biofeedback and neurofeedback technologies. I had some attention control technologies. I had some reaction time technologies. I had an egg chair or alpha chamber that had sound in it. It would, cut down the noise. It was like a noise cancellation system. I tried to create various spaces throughout the clubhouse that were just mine, and I would get in there almost like if you're a kindergarten teacher, and I'd create some borders and put the letters up zone and put up articles and try to use it as a sticky way of catching people to bring them into the space of having a conversation about mental skills. I worked with coaches. I worked with the scouting department. I had a philosophy and a playbook that I tried to stand up and baptize people in. It worked to it worked to some degree, but once again, it was like you battling the environment, when you're the only person, was quite a challenge. But I learned a lot, and I think I helped a lot of athletes. That first year, I worked with about 25 major league athletes, which doesn't happen that often. So I did get some quick buy-in, and I was able to forge some strong relationships and do some good work.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right. I'm really interested that you've been sort of in and around this subject since the early 2000s, and you reference people like Jones, and I think there are one or two others who were Sheard, there's Gucciardi, all of those people.
I didn't want to butcher his name, Gucciardi.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're quite comfortable with it now, because we've kind of taken the concept, and I think we've taken it beyond, the realms of sport. And I'm interested in getting your view about the state of mental toughness in North America, because what we see here is it's no longer a concept that's strongly associated with the world of sport. It's a general concept, and it applies in the world of business, the world of education. We do a lot of work in, using it with young people. It's got big applications in social mobility, everything from rehabilitating prisoners through to, work with people who are disadvantaged. And we're now sort of beginning to stretch into mental health and well-being and so on. So do you see that kind of trend in North America? Because we're always interested to see what's happening to the term,
Yeah, we are seeing that, but I don't, not particularly with mental toughness. In my opinion and just my experience, I felt like, in the early 2000s, that was a word that was echoed and talked and discussed about. That concept was probably in the forefront. Especially sports psychologists and mental performance coaches, that was like their number one thing that, was presented during workshops and things of that nature. And then resilience became the big I don't want to call it a buzzword because there's a lot of research out there, from positive psychology schools like UPenn. The military has a huge resilience program. They do tons of research. They've broken it down to, different competencies. Underneath those competencies or the different skills. Underneath those skills are the techniques. And so you could build techniques to develop skills, to get these larger competencies, these emergent states, and then develop what is called resilience. Another one is grit. And then there's, mindfulness is huge out here as well, now probably all over the world. So I don't know if it was just for me that mental toughness, I saw this, was put on the back burner a little bit. And people seemed like they didn't like to talk about two things for a while: flow, which I totally disagree, and mental toughness. And I think one of the reasons why is a lot of people would define mental toughness as this idea of running through brick walls, pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. And that's not true. There is, I always feel like there's a range for all of these concepts and terms in emergent states. So same thing with mental toughness. Like there are times when you need to have, you need to stick to things. You need to ride it out. You need to speak to yourself in ways that are going to amp you up and energize you. You need to push through hard moments, but there's also some softness to it as well. Like if you're just always hard, you're going to break. There needs to be some flexibility built in there as well. So I think it's making a comeback, though. I really do. And I've always liked to talk about toughness and mental toughness. My own personal kind of ideology program is built around it. And I was lucky to stumble on your work in about 2018, like I said, when I was looking for more evidence-based practice to bring to my students, to give them a system with some research backing behind it, to have discussions about mental toughness and what does it mean, and then how to construct it and develop it.
That's really interesting, and from my perspective, very useful, because my challenge, my position in this team that we've got over here is to go and take the concept and get people familiar with it and comfortable with it. And by and large, I think we're doing it. I mean, 20 years ago, we used to get a lot of pushback on the term toughness because they didn't like the word toughness. And but I think we're beginning to get a message through that this isn't the old black and white thing. This isn't good or bad. This isn't strong or weak. This is just who you are. And we actually pick up on Lowe's original definition. He spoke about it being the concept that enables you to be the best version of you that you can be. And I think people miss that bit about the version of you. It means we all have different sort of mix of abilities, and we can all kind of optimize in different ways. We all make our own contributions. And I think for modern times, for these times, I think that's a message that people are beginning to like. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I do too. I think in the past we have, most people believe like you're either born a certain way or you're not. You're either great or you're not. And they didn't really realize that, skills can be developed. They can be built, with a little bit of, work and toil and stick-to-itness. Like you can make some changes. You can definitely tap into better aspects of yourself. You can grow various skills. It takes, discipline, and it takes time. And these are just universal. Anything you want to create or develop within yourself is going to take, intention. It's going to take discipline, and it's going to take time and practice. And I think people are onto that now, like practice deliberately, to practice intentionally, practice mindfully, being more present. I think for people, that's refreshing to know that you're not fixed. that you are flexible, you are pliable. And if you don't like things about yourself or where you are, that you can roll up your sleeves and do something about it. Like performance is a choice. You could perform, you can choose to slop around all day and do nothing, or you can choose to, hit the books or hit the practice field. You can choose to be negative. You could choose to be positive. You could choose to listen. You could choose not to listen. This is all under our control to a large degree.
Well, I think we go along with that view. John has introduced a term into our library. That's nuance. There's, I've been brought up in a tradition of looking at typing and putting people into boxes and saying, you are this sort of person, or you're that sort of person, or you're this 4-letter code, or you're this color. And I think the thing that I love about the mental toughness concept is we can actually be who we are, and without being damned for it either. And I think that's one of the things that excites me most about this, because when you work with, given that half the population by definition is going to be more mentally sensitive and half is going to be more mentally tough, are you telling the mentally sensitive half of the population that they're never going to succeed at anything? The challenge for us is to find out and help them to be the best version of themselves that they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.